right, so let's finish this example out. And what are we going to do? We're going to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. We're going to keep our place value lined up. We're not going to have any remainders. If there's a remainder, we're going to add an emoji 0 to the dividend and keep dividing. And then at the very end, we'll send a decimal point up the elevator to the very top. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our first division step. And I'm going to keep my track of DMSB down here because I think if I do it up here, I'm going to lose. I'm going to run out of room for checks. All right, so 5 goes into 2 is my division step. So we're going to divide first thing. 5 goes into 2, 0 times. All right, so 5 times 0 is our multiplication step. 5 times 0 is 0. And then we are going to subtract. All right, and 2 minus 0 is 2. And then don't forget to bring down. And we are going to bring down the 3. So remember, the arrow points at not only the 3, but the number that's attached to the 3 as well, which is the 2. So now we're looking at 23. So we've made it through divide, multiply, subtract, bring down once. Let's go again. So we're going to divide by looking at the number that the arrow is pointing at in the circle, 23. So 5 goes into 23. 5 goes into 23 4 times. Once again, we're keeping the place value. As you can see, since the 3 is the number that we're working with right now, it's all in line, right? The 0 is above the 2, the 4 is above the 3, whatever's next will be above the 7. Even though there's a decimal point here, keep the spacing and the place value correct, right? So we did the division step. Now 5 times 4 is our multiplication step. 5 times 4 is 20. Now we have our subtraction step. 23 minus 20 is 3. And then we will bring down our 7. Now, it's a little tricky on this part. When you bring down the 7, there's that big gap because that decimal point is in our problem right there, kind of keeping a gap between the 3 and the 7. So just remember that these numbers are still together. The 3 and the 7 are friends. They might be standing a little further apart. They're social distancing, but they're still one number. So this is 37, all right? So the next thing we need to do is find out how many times does 5 fit into 37. All right, so 5 goes into 37 a total of 7 times. And also remember, the 7 goes above. So we're keeping our place values lined up. 5 times 7 is 35. There's our multiplication step. Subtraction step, 37 minus 35 is 2. And then we can't have a remainder. Right here it says we cannot have a remainder. If there's a remainder, add an emoji 0 to the dividend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an emoji 0 to the dividend. Remember that emoji 0 doesn't change the value of our original dividend. It's still 23 and 7/10, but it's now 23 and 70/100. It's like regrouping. It's like turning those 7/10 like this into 70 of the hundredths like this, which have the same value. All right, so then we're going to keep dividing. Now that we added that emoji 0, we're going to drop that emoji 0. All right, so 5 goes into 20. This is our division step. Oh, we did bring down. Sorry, we added that 0, we brought it down. So now we're on our division step. 5 goes into 20 4 times, because 5 times 4 is indeed 20. Now we do our subtraction step. 20 minus 20 is 0. And like I said, we can't have a remainder. We no longer have a remainder. So the last thing that we need to do is take the decimal point, take that elevator up from the dividend to the quotient. So it's going to take an elevator straight up. So that is our bring step. We are bringing the decimal point to the top. We are bringing the decimal point to the quotient. So as you can see, we ignored the decimal point to the very end. But how is dividing decimals similar and different than dividing whole numbers? Well, we just ignore the decimal point to the very end, and we help it take a elevator to the top. Other than that, it's DMSB, just the same as whole numbers.